Good morning. Well, the news is out. No more waiting. And the market loves it. And so now, what now? Well, it's like the same every day. Or wherever prices open up, it's where they end the day, of course. And see, the futures S&Ps are gapping up here toward this resistance area. But there'll be sellers and they're stalled up there. And where we go from here, it's like, do they hold on to the gain, or is the news out and China and America are going to play ball and others will probably fall into line now? And, the big 125%, 40%, whatever it was, as I read, 10%. So in the end, a big drama. And I don't know, I'm just reading the article early this morning. Are they going to continue to negotiate? Well, there's always something to be concerned about, of course. And as the big hurdle is out of the way, not going to be any big, I'll do this and you do that and so on. But anyway, so where the markets go from here? Um, S&Ps are stalled. Nasdaq's up, but 3%. And who's going to buy it up there? Seems foolish, but it did start from a resting period. So you got to look at this and say, well, it's a big gap up. It's going to be a gap, likely to be some selling into it. And well, they agreed to 10%, right? That's what I was reading in the journal, Dan. And then they're going to see through other negotiations that'll be ongoing, but they're going to back off on the big number. So we'll see. Um, so Nasdaq futures clearing these pivot highs. There's relatively insignificant congestion areas to the left. Well, you got this little overlapping bars right over here, but there aren't any pivots. So it fell relatively quickly. Back here, we all remember that. So theoretically, it could keep going up, but we'll see where this ends today. Does it go sideways here? Do we get a 1, 2, 3? Uh, but there was this little narrowed buy setup, and everybody's waiting for the news. The news is out. And so now they're moving on. If I'm sure you heard, they're moving on to drug companies, which a bunch of them are falling this morning. And I thought to myself, how are they going to tell a private company what to price things at? A little concerning, but we'll see where that all goes. But this coming out of this congestion area sideways, at resistance is positive. See if it keeps going. Uh, Small caps at resistance. These are the futures. We'll take a look at the ETF. The Dow, 1,000 points, gapping up 1,000 points. You look at the chart and it's like, doesn't look like such a big deal. But of course it is. But the thing is, it's coming out of like a 1 week congestion. Not like it was going up several days in a row. And the futures, looking at the futures anyway, we got to look at the Dow itself, and meaning you got to look at the underlying to see where that is at resistance and where the moving averages are and so on. But it's got room to these pivots. Weekly chart still in a downtrend and coming up to resistance. So, see what it does there. There's a big whole number. Let's just see what we don't see where the Dow is, but we don't see pre-market. So again, this looks like it's going to open up. I'm guessing like it's going to open up around where the 200 is in those pivots. So, the futures, okay, we look at them as some kind of guidance. If you trade them, of course, you look to the left as anything else, but you got to look at the underlying to see where the reference points are. And it would seem that just eyeballing at that futures chart, it's going to open up in the area of these pivots and the 200, which will get sold into, I believe. And the 20 on the weekly, you can see over there, that's equivalent to the 100, which lines up with the 200. So sometimes you look at multiple moving averages clustered together as being a, a stronger support or resistance. But when they're lined up with actual price data, it's much more meaningful, and it's lined up at a whole number. The key, I think one of the keys here, like going forward, is with how the transports respond to all of this. Because they've just been kind of grinding up like a bear flag kind of thing into this 50. So there's no pre-market data. But I mean, if this was gapping up here, I'm just thinking not that I'd be interested in buying it, but from an intermediate term perspective, it just increases the probability that no matter what happens, crazy shit happens, that April low is the low for the year. And I'm sure there's going to be some corrective price action between now and the end of the year. I think we can count on that. All right. Look where these ETFs are gapping to, up near the pivot. So that is aligned with the futures. And well, I'm just looking at this. This will never be marked as a pivot low, but common sense here, because there isn't three to the left. But of course, that pulling back as it did, gap up, that becomes like a major support point. And of course, gap fills and Friday's low, but the top of those two bars, that would be a long way to fall and would look pretty bearish if it was to fall from there to fill the gap. So while the gap is big, common sense would say it shouldn't fill the gap today. If it did, uh, obviously it'd be a pretty ugly looking bar at the end of the day. Yeah, you see that, Alex? I picked Sell May as our password to get in here, which probably turns out to be the truth. I think after this gap up. All right, Q's gapping up into that congestion area. That's a big gap. And so gap fill, there's nothing in between. Right? So it's got to create support if it's able to do that, if there's enough demand at this level. So what we'd be watching intraday to start is, besides the pre-market data, does it begin to build on at least the 5 minute a pivot low? Does it retest that? And if it does, then maybe it can go higher, but it'll be just a bit of a wait and see. All right. Spiders gapping up into the middle of nothing and above the 200 MA. So for now, I'll just take this one and just drag it up there. So gap fill 200 MA. We'll see if it holds that. Again, coming out of a congestion area. Q is gapping up there. So the dollar is up. That has been dropping for a while. So dollar is gapping up within its downtrend. That was extended, and Bitcoin, of course, and gold especially is coming down. Well, you can see gold is down 100 points already, but it's on support. So it's not like it's crashing down below this support level. It'll be something to watch to see how much there is a strong belief in what's going on here this morning, whether gold continues down or if it starts to rally up again. And Bitcoin is backing off of its highs there. But you look over to the left and it's coming up into resistance. So it's not like it's collapsing, but just technically makes sense that there are sellers up in this area. All right. Silver is down a little. Not big deal. Oil is up technically, over to the left there was support. So we'll see what it does at resistance. And interesting, right? Why are interest rates gapping higher? And so is there still this, I guess, inflation thing? Because it's not, you know, I guess maybe a relief that the economy isn't going to, recession isn't going to come, these higher tariffs. And, but interest rates going up, it's either, could inflation, I want, I want a bigger return, you know, for my money to lend it. But that isn't a positive, but we'll see if that keeps going. Yeah. Bonds to equities. Well, we'll see. I mean, at some point, interest rates aren't a positive, you know, a competition for equities. Let's see what the 13 week is doing. Aha. So there, according to this, there's no lowering of the Fed funds rate coming. And so there was this speculation it was coming in something in June, and it ain't coming in June. And this would suggest it ain't coming in July unless it collapses. Uh, they was speculating on three, right? It was 50%, then 30%. So I'll be interested to see what that CME tool says now. And so going to today, question is, does it hold on to its gains? Does it break down? Look at it, tech moving up here. So uh, semiconductors, NVIDIA is gapping up toward a resistance area. If you looked at that, and we'll see how everything else begins to shape up. You know what? Yes, yes, yes. I haven't even looked at them yet, but they must be severely inflated on the call side. And so this is above the 200, just under this little congestion here. So I'm not going to scroll over, but if you scroll over there, the 65-minute or whatever, there's a base, some congestion there, and 590. So it's up below here. Let me just drag that up there, up under there. $5,700. All right. Whole number. That's good. Remember, that's the one that has the big open interest in puts and calls. And it was getting pinned there, whipping back and forth, back and forth. Couldn't get away from it. And now it's well away from it. Wow. Okay. So, all right. 59.50. What I'm looking at here and going, what did I? Yeah. So it's gapping up so much that the strikes that we're looking for, they're not even on here. I'd have to increase this. Right? It's at 6%. So if I jack it up, this has happened before. And that was when the market turned the last time this happened. So let's see what happens there. 59.50. That would be a hell of a move. Because figure it's already up. Let's get rid of this. So you can see that, right? Whatever. So having been here and it's up there, right? So that there's the 3%. Right? Qs are up 3%. And to get up there, it would have to move, right? 5% in one day. I don't know if it's ever moved 5% in one day. Anyway, that is unlikely, right? That's all we're looking at for credit spreads. Is it likely to get to that level or not? Um, and it's down here to go down below from there. Let me get rid of this. Got that out of the way. These are out of the way. That's out of the way. Yeah, I would have to move right 3% to go down. But you've got a pivot here. You've got the 200 you got here. So um, I think it's high. More unlikely it's not going up there. But a gap and crap, of course, is in the realm of possibility. So as always, we'll just see what happens here in the first 5 minutes. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. First 5 minutes, first 30 minutes. So I don't think days like this. I mean, we actually had a bunch of nice bullish positions for the weekend letter, and we knew there was going to be news, but still, it's ruining a bunch of our good setups. Because you know, you got a problem if it's not gapping up, then it's relative weakness. But we'll go through them one by one as always. But actually, Alex and I, though, and whoever else followed us in the green room, we bought the 580 calls on Friday as an anticipatory big gap event. So it was a little bit of a lottery ticket, of course, but the charts were bullish and Trump said to buy stocks, so we bought calls. And what I actually did pre-market, right when it started to roll right here at 582.45, I think, right there, I shorted stocks. Remember we had the discussion last week about how do you hedge options pre-market because they aren't trading, and I told you with stock. So I only have one contract, so that represents I have the right to buy stock at $580, right? So if it keeps going up, I'm fine. It'll I'll wait till it stalls and I'll sell it. But 5 minute low, I'm just going to cover it or close it rather, because now I have a covered call. And I also shorted, I think 545 puts way down here, something stupid. So I'm going to have a ton of alarms going off here. But they're all hitting on the bullish side. This one and we had a couple shorts in the letter too. My alarm went off on this, but I don't see any prints. Let's see what it does at the open. It shows it gapping down. We had a beautiful trade on deer on Thursday, and I said, let's just sell the back. I mean, maybe it keeps running into the 1030. It could. And I don't know, I could run a couple more bucks, but we made $23 on it. So I'm not going to be a pig, but look at that beautiful 15-minute base. Gave that 1, 2, 3. CVS is the only one going against us. We have a put spread on this, buy setup and a turn, and Trump is going after these companies, so that's why going after drug prices. But it's funny, Greg. I said the exact same thing to Alex pre-market. I'm like, how is Trump gonna tell the drug manufacturer how to change their price? Now I get it. He could lower what the government's willing to reimburse for it. He can let more competition from Canada, but you can't just march into the S&P 500 and say, cut your price 80%. That's you. You can refuse to do business with them, of course. But, I looked through a bunch of these and there's no patterns. Now, Lilly, I was hoping it was going to gap down to 700. Because then this one's starting to look like a put spread idea. Merck just looks horrible, but bouncing here, they're all bouncing a little bit. ABBV, no pattern. Yeah, semis, we had NVIDIA as a put spread idea. So there's some good news with the car companies, GM and Ford. Ford looks better as a new trade, maybe 30-minute high. Got a bunch of inside. That was earnings day, that big wide range one. Tesla, we have naked puts in the advisory letter, and we have a put spread in the weekly options letter. So that one, we're going to move stop 30-minute low. Amazon, I was saying all last week, I said, I also think this one's building a big bottoming pattern. And now the gap's messing it up. I mean, look at the size of that gap to the prior high here. It's going to take, for me, it would take a week for this to set up as a new idea for me. But then look at this weekly resistance. Tesla has a superior void on the weekly too. Look, compare this weekly to Amazon. That's why I've been so bullish on this stock for a while. I mean, I had it on my long list, but I waited on Friday because of the topping tail. But we did sell puts on it at least. Netflix here, relative weakness. I've been watching this for a while. 30-minute, I don't know why it's gapping down. If it's Trump going after him again, they gapped down the other last week on news of tariffs on movies. But 30-minute low, I think it's ripe. The Climo with a small little, that's a small M top, very small, but that's a retest and failure with a void. So 30-minute low, I like. Let me do these earnings real quick, and then I'll just go through all these other alarms that are going off. NRG, here you go, Don. Here you go. This will be a call spread gap and crap. 30-minute low, NRG, perfect. Fox, 48 and what am I getting filled on here? Got some bells going off. All right, that's something else. I just had a limit order in. All right, Fox. 30-minute high breakout has a void to 50.51. I like. Fox, NRG, KSPI. Call spread if there's any juice over Friday's high. Mindy, I forgot. This was an earnings trade, and we shorted naked puts. And I adjusted the Tesla, as I already told you, 30-minute low. But I also adjusted this one. I adjusted play. And just ask me if you don't get our Telegram alerts. But here's the Mindy one. It's gonna get a nickel. Kava. That's the Gustavo stock. Yeah, I've been watching this thing for months. We've traded it a couple times, but yeah, I like it. I like it now. Yeah. Oh, but earnings 515. But that That's a bottoming pattern. Over the weekend I've been working on more slides on bottoming patterns and inverse head and shoulders. So I want to get those two scheduled. So this one's actually both. Well, by definition, well, that's not true. Um, but this is an inverse head and shoulder, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, but it's also a bottoming pattern. Um, earnings. So that's Mindy. I'll be watching. Put that in a window. Mindy. MT. Um, this was one. SWX. I can't tell where you're gapping, but this is a 1, 2, 3, 4. So if it opens flat, I like it, but it really has to get over Thursday side. A Mac. Let's see that's a gap breakout. And I've been again working on these bottoming pattern slides. This is just not a quality one to me with the declining 50. I just don't know how much it's going to go. This one's gapping down, no interest. So this is all the earnings. Let's see. So as a general rule, bottoming patterns, see here, you want them to get above the 50 also, and you need a void. So this one is significantly better, but my target would have been the 200, and it's already gapping over that. So no interest. So I just MKTX. Alex gave me this one. My alarm went off, but I see one print up here. Now I like this on daily, weekly, monthly. It's be a red bar ignored. You got a gap negated, you got a 180 reversal, you got a breakout weekly, and you got a buy set up on support on the monthly from a bottoming pattern. So I all three time frames are in beautiful alignment here. Wow, its NRG is still ripping, which is good. When you do gap and crafts, the bigger the gap, the better. Well, look at TMOS relative weakness here. That was actually a sell setup on Friday. I think I looked at it for call spreads, but that could have been a short. And I wonder why that's weak today. All right, let me go to a ton of alerts here. All right, our Babay I gave as a call spread. It's gapping over the entry, but I gave a limit, so it's fine. But look at all these converging moving averages. And that's a bottoming pattern. I gotta put that in, I gotta grab a screenshot of that and I'll put that on the bottoming pattern thing. All right, so let's, all I can do is um, slow Golf Delta was a put spread over the high. Let's wait. 5-minute high on that. All right, our KW. Okay, so that was a bad alarm that gapped down. I'll just reset it. All right, so Alex, did you like my edging on those spiders? So see, I'm fully, well, I'm not fully hedged. That's not a correct statement. I'm not fully hedged. But if it goes up, you just got to ask yourself, if the thing goes up, how's that going to affect my position if it goes down? So I'm short 100 stocks, I'm at 100 shares, and I'm long the 180 calls. So if it continues lower, then what? Then I'm making more money on my short 100 shares even if the 580s go worthless. And then if it goes up, I'm hedged. All right, I'm going to cover my 544 puts also. All right, so I'll watch that. So, you know what, Alex? Actually, I should have done this earlier. I'm going to sell the call, Alex. Ah, those calls, Alex, that we had were for Friday. I just sold them for 475. Oh yeah, for some reason in my head, I thought they were for Monday. All right, so now I'm just gonna, so I just sold my call. Now I'm just gonna trail out of the stock and my short stock and just cover it whenever momentum slows. All right, brothers alarm. Beautiful 1, 2, 3. Greg, you tell me on the gap, what would you do with this?
With brothers?
Yeah, it was a 1, 2, 3 long, but market gapped up, this gapped up. Is it an excessive gap or
No.
okay? But what I'm asking is, can I give them the green light for half or all?
5 minute high, 15-minute high, something like that. Not just buy it like this. It might start falling in the next 5 minutes. So, I'd wait at least 10 minutes and see what it does. If you miss it, you miss it.
We'll
If it
see.
keeps going.
All right, well, that's where I get confused because many times you say it's already triggered. Why do you need to wait a 5 minute high?
Well, it's gapping up. It's not like it traded through it.
KTX. Actually gapped down. So good. Now I'm going to reset the alarm.
It doesn't look like much, but from that open, that's almost a 5% gap. It doesn't look extended, but percentage wise, it's substantial as to what it is. But whatever. I'll trade it. Maybe it comes down. I mean, it's a bottoming pattern. It's got room to go up, but you know,
Right. Mindy. Yeah, the 210, there's 20 by 40. I was bidding a dime, so I'm not gonna get filled. All right, well, I got a 2 lot, so I'm just gonna cover half. Bid a dime for half. Our Munster new high. All right, Mindy, let's move stop under. Yes, Alex. Yeah, I gave an option trade. 269.88. With a limit, which here I'm going to give them a new limit because it's coming in.
PMY reversing. That could be, see if that ends the day. Retest reversal.
It's down a lot. Yeah, it's a big move. Monsters getting a little sloppy here. Had long stock and long calls. Just sold some. My Alex, my unhedging and the spiders are doing well. Do you mean calls? A buy, breakout on what? Oh, yeah, 330. Yeah. Yeah, my should. Yep. Nature up alarm. This was one of my earnings trades that I couldn't get out of last Friday. BDX. I like the 15. I don't know how far it's gonna. It's one of those patterns. I don't know how far it's gonna go, but I like the 15 for a day trade. Spiders here. I'm gonna put a stop in 2-minute chart, and I'm gonna put a stop 579.62. Nice market stop market spot 62. Done. Now that's NRG. It's not a great gap and crap because these were grinding consolidation bars, but it is a Climo using pre-market data. Well, let me see how far away we can get anyway. The 150s, 30 by 50. All right, our Aflac triggered in his relative weakness. Look at you. I did a call spread on this. It was one of my many alarms I just didn't get to yet. Wow, my call spread is the midpoint is 0, so that must mean it has a big spread. I just got out at a nickel, so let's do it. And we have a short stock also. So close that. ABS. Tesla, say coming in. I said to, text, I was tightening stops on everything. Hey, oh, nice up alarm now. It's one against us. We had the $19 calls. 85. Uh, I'm still short those spiders. I'm just in trail mode. Yeah, I'm gonna be busy here. I got a ton of alerts to go through. CHGG. Uh, tell me why it looks good to you, Thomas. Because I don't agree. I think it's a poor bottoming pattern. Well, you just said looks good. I'm asking you, why do you think it looks good? All right, no problem. I'm not being a jerk. I'm trying to see what's in your head. All right, so I gotta start canceling a bunch of alerts here, like this one. What else? I gave it as a put spread, but it's not going to trigger. WDC. Yeah, but it's at the 200. I like this call. Well, still not ready, and it has earnings. All right, I gotta go through these new trades, make sure they don't. Flag. Brothers. I don't know what to do with this. All right, Aflac triggered 105.87. Breaking. Gap's too big, so we got to cancel that. Well, this one, yeah, well, this one was buying. Ah, this was our earnings trade. I gave this as an earnings trade. It ain't gonna get filled because the gap's too big. Mo, let's cancel. Kilo whiskey. It's still okay if it triggers. Myrna gave long puts. That's still good to go. Goose, cancel. Gap's too big. Summer, gap's too big. Cancel. We're gonna buy $10 calls also. I clear is a short, and that one's fine if it triggers. All right, so these are all my cancels. All right, my SPY. Let me see where my new stop was. Yeah, I'll leave that same spot. Oh no, 579.51. All right, done. Pick. Let's just move stop below 44.82. Perfect. This will lock in $1 gain if it stops. Does anybody know of Vic? Hey, Vic, you got a smoke tomorrow? I got to fill in something. Oh, that's my spiders. All right, I'm out of my spiders short, so I'm flat now. I'll take it. Um, Big computers acting up now. Well, the tick had a monster gap. All the way, it's under 300 now. AD line's still holding very well with 1800. Oh, this stopped out. Happened to WRB. But it stopped out at a small game. We'll take it. All right, now I gotta go through. I got Babane, CVS, top low now, 6504. And my big computer trade station is waiting here. And it's frozen. Look, damn it. Mindy's out at Target. Wow. So Don, look at that NRG is ripping. Mindy is done. Monster Mash. Dude, Spy's still weak. I had a tight stop. Man, this thing is dead money. This thing can't get going. I have to maybe kill this break even. We're down like $1. Break even. Cost basis 190.54.
You don't have the TV on. So I typed in there, Trump is talking. At the 5 minute, we've got this, it formed a pivot. That's what I was saying, pre-market. This big gap up would say, okay, it's going to go down, fill the gap halfway, maybe the whole way. Who knows? You see, I've got my little green bars there. That was the pre-market high. No, it's yesterday's high there. But these pivots that are formed on the spiders and Qs to see if they fail. Well, this hasn't marked it as a pivot yet, but these little buy setups that formed in the middle of nowhere. So once it forms the pivot, it's created some support. And this third bar isn't done yet. TC 2000 marks it while the bar is forming, which isn't right. E-signal doesn't do that. And so if this bar was to close under this bar, that green dot would go away, which of course makes it confusing. But IWM's forming a 1, 2, 3 down. So at least you got one bar closing under these here. So if the buy setup fails, you got one indication at least of going down, and there's nothing to stop them. But I know those that trade retracement levels, fibs, just look at like 50% of a gap. So I'm just thinking what might hold this thing from going down if it starts to, or a whole number. Like 500 on the Qs would be an area that I would think would begin to stabilize.
That she was a big part of it. White House, we're going to step away and some of the other speakers take the lecture and get back to it on Q&A. But talking about tariffs and drug prices, we'll monitor that. Let's bring in Amy Jeffries here in the talking using the talk about reopening, total reset. That's check. Totally open up China. We'll wait for details on where that comes from. But this is the president who was in deal-making mode. This is the president who was ecstatic about what happened over the weekend. He said he met with Tim Cook, or he spoke to Tim Cook, I should say, this morning that Cook advised the president that Apple's going to be investing more into the country. So we'll on that. And he's going to be speaking.
AWM's got a 1, 2, 3 bearish. Well, below the open, but obviously the huge gap up makes it attractive for lower.
Yeah, that's the best looking horseman, 5 minute. Yep.
All the fangs are holding here. Microsoft is almost filled the gap. It's got a little 5-minute buy. All these little reversals on the 5-minute. How much higher can they get, or do they fail?
Oh, look at the size of that gap on whiskey. That was a put spread idea. I had a lot of good put spread ideas in the weekend letter. RH was another. Look at that. I guess retail, they're liking the tariff nonsense. Reprieve. Messed up our trades though. Spot will cancel. That was going to be a put spread over the highs. I don't know what its problem is. SIG, another one, put spread. The video, we won't get filled. DHI, I gave us a call spread, but it ran too much. IWM put spread. Alex, too bad we didn't buy calls on that one. Nope. That thing almost gapped up 5%. Insane. Fundamentally, why would small caps react so much more? AI might have gotten filled in that pullback. 22.20. No, because I wanted price improvement. So that I'll cancel that. AXP. Man, yeah, the gap is messing up our weekly options trader. Golf Delta, I said 5-minute high, so this will be over 274.71.
The options trader, the only thing you could do is call spreads if you're comfortable for the end of the week. I saw a few things, but the spreads were stupid.
Is the low alarm. We gotta get out of break even on this dog. If we're so lucky. It's sloppy, but bullish consolidation, Neil. I would not call that a breakout. It's we define breakouts as tighter consolidation. This is a big friggin' mess, but yeah, it would be a closing breakout since it's over these tails. Yeah, I gotta get my other computer updated here with these symbols that I deleted. Alex, I'm still in this race, bidding a nickel. Still can't get out. But it's $86 lower, so I don't care. Alex, remember IT? I said still had room. We were watching that the other day on that gap reversal. That actually looks great. if it were after 3 p.m. Man, Expedia. I mean, that's had earnings gap down. Look at that crazy. That's a bull island reversal.
Meaning it's getting sold, Alex? SPY value?
I told you I didn't trust this bull reversal. Look at that gapping down in a strong market. It's TDC. It's a long watch over that red bar. Gap messed it up. Poor UNH still can't make a turn. But I'm gonna watch it. We'll get a trade one of these days. Deer deal. Well, we got out good in deer. Got out at 511.50 this morning. So it turned out to be a good call. NRG, crazy strength. Man, I'm not short on that. Google's a trading range now. Look, this Wednesday, we're talking about trading ranges. That's a trading range. There's major resistance, there's major support. So then the question is it a quality one and are there any trades? And on this one, I actually would say Condor. Let me check. 165. And then 147s. 25 cents. So forget about it. What about this Netflix call spread? Actually, you know what? I would like one more bounce, one more attempt to go higher and fail. But let me see how juicy they are anyway. The 1170s. Yep, there's plenty of juice. 1170s, 1180s. $1.14. Oh, that's right there. Let me go $5 higher. 1175, 1180. Only $5 wide, 50 cents. Pre-market. IWM still, yeah, still the weakest. Let me check 210 calls. Should have done that earlier when you all were talking about them. Zero. $0.18 naked.
I did the Russell futures. I'm covering some here near this pre-market pivot low. You can see it on the IWM too. If you take that away, it doesn't have any support, but it'll it should it should hold things there for the moment. Spiders and Qs now look like they could take out the low. There's nothing. Well, you go to this stuff over here. There's nothing there. There's really nothing to stop it from going down other than the pre-market low.
Yeah, totally.
Hold on, I tell you. If there's enough data, IWN, no data there. Just didn't trade enough. And that's a bad tick. So I don't know. It is a bad tick. IWN. Let's see if E signal maybe has better data. There's nothing there. I don't have any bad tick. There are just some dots where it traded there. The lowest dot is 152.89. There's a couple of dots. 153.37. Spiders and Qs are below their opening price, which was the high of the day. They haven't broken below the low of the day, which is a pivot. It's good to see Home Depot and these home builders up a little bit. See if they hold on to their gains. JBHT. I mean, these are things that have been beaten down. Rails.
This side of you, let me go. Yeah, there's a, yeah, it's a bottom cutter. Need a pullback. I actually looked at that over the weekend. I was gonna do a put spread over the tail, but there's no juice. Lily almost turned green.
Look at JB, Dan. Maybe there's a call spread there. I don't know why, but that broke down. Discount stores.
Who's JB?
BJ, I'm sorry, BJ's.
That's still it's too far away.
Probably, I don't know, but maybe there's a gift. Waste management, that broke down today.
120 is 10 cents. Their problem is too far. You got to get those things on Friday. With that breakout failure.
I didn't find much to say about some of these things before. When we get some movement like this, there's something to talk about. I dislike those bottoming patterns for trades. And I'm not the credit spread trader in this group, that's for sure. There's a trailing my futures high on Russell. There's some trading that went on there. I guess that was last week. Down below. So gold is hanging in there on that support. Raining by you, Dan?
Yeah, sprinkling.
Like a flood here. Riders and Qs going through the low today.
Yeah, Vic, we're taking our money. Made a buck.
I did the futures. My entry was 2104.2.
Yeah, I should have shorted that again. Yeah, that looks great. That looks like it can easily fall $3 or more.
No bearish tick extreme yet. but it's negative. Netflix stands at the low of the day.
Yeah, I think it was only 50 cents for $5 wide. That was a few minutes ago, even. But yeah, that was one of the best looking pens.
Dow starting to roll, a little bit.
Wow, that Oxy. I remember one of you mentioned. How are you doing today? Did you have a lot of inventory coming in? That's triggered.
Closed mine. It's getting close to that support level down there. On the futures, anyway. It was a good trade. Started eating the tail on the 2 minute.